Good afternoon. I thought it would be quite interesting today to talk about the geology, the basic geology and the soils of Val de Vie. Most homeowners, of course, want to build gardens, and a garden is as good as the soil it is grown in. Now here in this part of the Worland, in the part of the Cape Winelands, remember we're in a river valley. The Berg River over the eons has cut this valley out. Before that, of course, the soil surface was actually higher than the mountains are now. In fact, during the Jurassic times, that's where the dinosaurs roamed, up there. So all this has been eroded. It was the base of what we call the Karoo Sea. Basically, as the Patagonian plate pushed under the African plate and buckled it up, the area between the Cape Fold Belt and actually as far as Angola formed this sea floor. The sand and the silts from that sea floor are what we see around us today, which is why if you look at the local mountains, you'll still see the strata of the sediments that were laid down. With erosion, of course, that's become fairly mixed up. The muds of the seabed became the Karoo sequence of soils. Those are predominantly silts and mudstones. They've eroded and formed the clay layers that we so commonly find around here. But if we just take a general soil profile, I'm actually standing in a swimming pool hole on one of the building sites, you'll see that we've got this overburden of a fairly loose sand. Underneath that, the old riverbed, cobbles, river cobbles. We've got the river sand. Now all this is basically degraded from the mountains, from the quartzites that were formed by the original seabed sand. So it's literally going back to sea sand. Fairly sterile there though. The top layer is much more fertile, but still full of the small cobbles. Interestingly, we also have this sort of thing happening. If you have a look at this, it's basically cobble cemented by minerals. This used to be a spring. The water coming up from the water table, which is very shallow here, has brought those minerals up. The water is evaporated and left the minerals behind, and it cemented this into what is locally known as coffee clip, or oak clip, or lake clip, depends on where you're from. But it's basically a concretion, a conglomerate formed by mineralization. It's a mixture of iron, manganese, that sort of thing. If you are looking at starting a garden, basically dig a few holes, see what is underneath you. Because being a riverbed, it's very varied. These were braided channels. Also, when the developer came along and found the historical quarries and holes all over the place, they flattened out the whole area. So you will get areas that have been refilled. So they're not the natural sort of soil strata, if you like. So do yourselves a favor, dig a hole, have a look what's underneath you, and then work according to that. Nature basically won't be forced. If you're planting the wrong plants in the wrong soils, it won't work. Remember that sand leaches water through very fast. So if you're on sand, use water-wise plants. I suggest that anyway. Even on our clay soils here, and they can be very heavy clays. Clay absorbs a lot of water, but it doesn't release it easily to plants. So again, water-wise planting. And of course, all our indigenous plants have become accustomed to those conditions, so that's possibly the way to go. Okay, so I thought it would be interesting to do a little bit of a talk about this. Have a look around us and imagine what this place has been looking like over the millennia. Remember though, Pole Mountain is very different to the quartzites. That's a granite batholith. Very unique little mountain in our area. There the soils would be again very, very different, and that's why we get different vegetation types on them. Okay, so I'll climb out of the hole now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Feel free to ask questions. And of course, you can hit the subscribe button as well if you wish.